Hello, hello out there. Sorry, y'all have to see me cleaning off my desk a little bit here. I've had a creative morning, so we're going to call that a good thing, a win-win-win. So as I am tidying up my table, if you are here, I'd love for you to say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. I can see a few of you. Oh my. Y'all, I have so many pairs of scissors. It's kind of ridiculous. Just a little bit. I think my husband is watching this live and I can hear myself. That's a little distracting. A little bit. A little bit distracting. Also, why don't I try to get this camera at an angle that isn't like cattywampus? I'm gonna come up a little bit. I told y'all I was gonna work on the camera angle as best I can as we move throughout the month. So while I'm tidying, I'll just start by saying hello. Hi, Susan. Hi, Damon. That's my hubby. Hi, Linda. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Just a little recap, reminder of what we are doing here, what I'm doing here. I am doing a month-long vlogging experiment where I am going to go live every day for the month of April 2024. And during this month, my goal is to, well, several goals. One, just share a little bit about who I am, reconnect to my YouTube community, learn a little bit about who y'all are and what y'all are doing out there. Hello, Miss Deidre. Hello, Studio in the Library. I love that name, by the way. So let me throw these things in the trash. Look at that, a clean slate. Something for us to play on today. So I have a whole list of things that I will be talking about. Each day will be dedicated to a different letter. Today will be letter B, as in boy. And I've written down a few things that I'm going to talk about for B. And I've done that for most of the letters up to this point. It won't be every letter, but no, it will be every letter. Sorry. It'll be every letter. Hold on. Let me get my brain here. Let's let my brain arrive. Why don't we? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the ABCs of me. My name is Kiala Givehand, and I am doing a month of vlogging to reconnect to my YouTube community, to bring myself back into a space where I feel excited to show up and share. I've lived a very wide life. I have a lot of things that I have done and seen and participated in and experienced. And I want to share some of those things with my community. So hi, Donna. Thank you for that. Hi, Janet. Welcome. And so I needed it to be easy. I don't have a fancy camera crew or fancy camera setup. I don't have any things that fly in from the left or the right of the camera angle. And I just want to show up in the raw, real version of what it looks like to be an artist in the everyday. All the glory of it, all the bliss of it, all the struggle and ups and downs of it. I just want to show up and be me And so that's what you're getting here. It's been a while since I have really felt committed to my YouTube channel. So this is also me recommitting to showing up in this space and also just seeing what it feels like to let it be easy. That's something, it's a mantra in my community. Let it be easy. And so I want to talk about all the things that I love to talk about and share with you all some of the things that I've been working on, projects that I'm doing. For instance, the 100-day project right now is going on. And I am, in fact, doing the 100-day project, but I'm doing it my way this year. I'm not doing the whole, I'm going to post something every single day on Instagram or YouTube or blog or whatever it is. I am committed to finishing as many projects as I can in this 100 days. And so my 100-day project is 100 days of completing projects. So I thought, well, this is a great thing to also bring to my YouTube community and share and talk about here as well. So that's where we are, folks. That's what's happening. ABCs of me, and it includes other things like maybe we'll make something on some of the days. Maybe we will, do lots of other things. So I also will be answering questions. So I'm actually going to start there. Well, first, let me say welcome to Letter B Day. I'm going to talk a little bit about bookbinding. I'm going to talk a little bit about being a business owner. I'm going to also talk a little bit about being a bag lady. And what I mean by that is, y'all, I love bags. I might even make a little bag with us today. Like, let's make a bag while we're here. Bags, pouches, anything that zips or ties, or I love bags so much. I have so many of them. It's kind of ridiculous how many I have. So I thought that might be, I can't be the only one. So I'll show you some of my current bags that are in being used right now and what I have in them. And then I'll talk a little bit about some books that I'm currently reading, because that's a B. I'm always reading some kind of book or studying a book. I'll talk a little bit about my affinity towards working with just black and white. I have this love for black and white, and I allowed myself to stray from that for some time because everybody's using color and everybody's talking about color and color, 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 color. Bring the color, add color, more color. And I actually like a very muted palette. I like earth tones. I like things that are just like stark white, stark black with maybe a pop of red in it from time to time. So this is my month of kind of getting back to the basics of what I love and what brings me joy in my art. So there's that. What else do I have on my list of B's? Oh, black and white. I'm going to show, because I also am a tarot reader, astrology reader, human design specialist. I'm also going to be talking about some esoteric things. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite black and white oracle and tarot decks, because I love a good black and white deck. Just makes me happy. Okay, so that's what I have right now for the letter B. We'll see if anything else shows up. Oh, I did also have that I might mention and show and talk about Bargello. Anybody here familiar with Bargello? And anybody here actually do Bargello? I love to hear it. It's something that was around in the 60s, 70s, sort of the hippie days. So your grandmas and your great grandmas might have had some in their homes, but it's making a comeback, I think. If not, let's make a comeback, y'all. Okay, what do I see here in the chat? Deidre says, yesterday's vlog inspired me to clean my studio table and prep for tonight. Yay, Deidre, I love it. Linda says, go Deidre. Yes, yes. I'm a sucker for bags, Deidre says. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And just to be clear, when I say bags, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and clump bags, pouches, like these little things, right? Like things that have little drawstrings on them like this. Anything that can contain other things. Ideally made with canvas or fabric. Those are my favorites. So yeah, we'll talk about bags. Linda said, yeah, in the 70s, Bargello. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to throw out a little request to my hubby for some cold water, if you don't mind. That would be awesome if you could, if you don't mind bringing me that, if you're available to do so. Okay, so I want to show you all. So this is what we made yesterday. Yesterday was the A day, letter A. And I did an accordion book. We did an accordion book. I talked and rambled a bit and found my way back into the middle of the conversation and out again and spiraled and in and out. But I was making an accordion book for day A. Now, let me go ahead and say I'm probably not going to make a book every single day. In fact, I already know what I'm going to be working on for day G and day C, and they won't be books per se. Well, see, I say that, and then I'm like, isn't everything I do a book, though? Thank you. Thanks a lot, babe. So I'm saying that now, but I might have to eat those words. But for now, here's the book that I made yesterday. If you were not here yesterday, you are more than welcome to go watch that video and see the book come into being. I was thinking yesterday when I made this, I was kind of upset that I did my ribbon. I really wanted my ribbon to be coming out from this side, but I was like, you know, I could have a moment here. This is one thing I kind of don't like about sari silk is all the little hangy bits, but I love the way it looks and feels. So, but I was thinking, you know, I could do a thing where maybe I glue it down. Nah, let's leave it free. Let it be free. All right, so here's what I've done for the first page. And I think I'm going to do this every day at the end of the session. I sat last night and I just did some doodling and pen and ink, markers. This is colored pencil here with some black. And I just made a list of I just kind of wrote out the things that I talked about, focused on. There's the date right there. So I think I might do this every time. Now, yesterday, I missed one of my A's. I said I was going to do the affirmations at the very end, and I did not do that. But I did do them in my journal. So I am an artist and I am an alchemist. Those are my two affirmations. So, so yeah, I think I might do a little something like this. We pulled 2 cards yesterday. Those were the 2. I just took a picture, sent it to my printer, and printed them out small so I could just cut them out and put them in my journal. And we're going to pull cards today as well. And to make up for yesterday not doing my affirmation, not doing my affirmations on the day A, I'm going to pull from one of my, I was thinking I might pull from my affirmation deck, but why don't we, let's see, what other little decks do I have around here that are in progress. I literally had one on this desk. Oh, I was going to say, I had one on this desk not even an hour ago. So this, again, is another prototype that I'm working on. So I'm going to move that. So this will be day B, day C, so on and so forth. So I'll share that with y'all each time we come back together. All right. So we'll start us off with a card pull. Just this is from a prototype of a deck called the Stitcher's Wisdom deck. That's the working title. I don't know that will be the title I end up with, but that is the current working title for this deck, Stitcher's Wisdom. And just what do we need to bring our awareness to? I'm going to pull 3 cards today. What do we need to bring our awareness to? This deck is a series of curated images. I've already changed about 3 of them from this prototype since this prototype was printed, so some of them are different. But these images are curated from clip art that is out in the public domain. But it's all images of things that have to do with anything that falls under the stitching category. So what do we need to bring our awareness to during this next 24 hours? Collectively, those of us that are here watching this and those on the replay, what do we need to bring our awareness to for the next 24 hours? I'm going to do a cut type situation. 1, 2, 3. Let's bring our awareness to creating a path. I'm working on the font. I'm not sure I like this font for this deck, but we'll see. Creating a path. Remembering that we have support. And getting back to the basics. Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say I was doing that? Listen, y'all. All right, so those are our 3 cards for the day. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to the path that you are creating. Remember that you have support, and try returning to the basics. I'm going to leave those 3 out so I don't forget what 3 we got. I love that. It's perfect. Okay, so what do I want to work on? There was, for the letter B, I was thinking about making another back-to-back book. So I made a back-to-back book at the most recent Artsy Meetup session. And I think I might do that again today because, y'all, oh, in fact, here it is. Maybe I won't make one. I'll work inside of this one. So this was the book that I just taught in Artsy Meetup at the end of March. Those of you that were there, I added a little charm heart to the end, a little wooden heart. I painted it black. This is a fabric wrap. Fabric's fine. Deidre said, I just cut the paper out to make a back-to-back book and was going to go back and watch that video to remember how to do it. Oh, I love it. So we'll see. I'm going to talk a little bit and bounce back and forth with things, but I may show how to make it again. But it's one of my favorite structures because it's easy and it creates like these no interruption spreads, right? Oh, y'all know how it does when it's on white paper. Man, the cameras, come on. I got to figure that out because I turned off the autofocus, so I don't know why it keeps doing that. So I thought, since we're talking black and white, talking back-to-back book, this book is going to be a collection of, so y'all know I have a lot of paper cuts. Oh my gosh, let me find something that can keep some color in the screen for us. I have a lot of paper cuts from the projects and things that I do. And so I've been doing this little thing where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to play with these paper cuts and just make different configurations, different patterns. And I'm not going to do anything to these. I'm not adding doodling. I'm not doing journaling on it. I'm not doing anything else to this. This page is finished. I might sign each page, maybe. But that's what I've been doing. So Deidre says, I used ugly scrapbook paper that I wanted to purge because I knew I wouldn't see it anymore. An inspiration from yesterday's video. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, this was scrapbook paper. This one, this from yesterday was scrapbook paper, both sides of this. I mean, we got to do something with this. I'm like, yeah, these quick little books that we can make, accordion books, back-to-back books. So I may do another back-to-back book, but before I do that, I am going to do, I'm going to show you all what I mean by just putting these paper cuts down. So let me just get these things in the view so that we have some color for this camera to focus on. Oh, this is going to be so fun. I don't know if this is going to drive me bonkers over the whole month. Every time I put down white paper, it's going to do this. That's going to be frustrating. I will have to come up with a solution. I might have to Google something that tells me some special thing I can do. We'll see. Try to put as much color in the frame as I can, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything for us. All right, let's hope. All right, so what I've been doing with my offcuts is literally just coming in and kind of auditioning. Sometimes I cut them down more. Sometimes I leave them as they are. It just depends. I'm gonna clip this open so I don't have to fight with the pages doing that thing. So for me, this is just a practice in composition, a practice in patterns, and just different ways of seeing, a play on spacing. And I do give myself permission to cut them down smaller, make them thinner, longer. And I'm not trying to, there really is no rhyme or reason. It's kind of like a, it's just like, let's see what happens if, what if I do that? What if I do this? All right, so there's a lot of what if with this. So I just play until it feels right to me. To just see what it wants to do. And sometimes I'll have a piece that's really weird. Sometimes I like to bring in a piece that is sort of off-centered or not quite what you might expect. I'm also not measuring anything. I'm not lining anything up in an exact way. I'm just playing. I will say, I like symmetry. So when I look at this, I notice that I have something vertical, two squares. I've got a line here and a triangle-y type thing here. So my eye is calling for another triangle-y something up here. And maybe another sort of vertical, horizontal something here. All right, so my brain is kind of wanting, Damon says almost a tangram. Yeah, it does kind of have that tangram effect. Yeah. So I love doing this. So this whole book is going to be dedicated to this kind of thing. So I think while I'm playing around with composition, I'll talk a little bit about some of the books that I'm reading right now. So one book that I'm reading is called The Language of Lenormand. It's by Erica Robinson. And it's all about a divination tool called Lenormand. And it is actually really beautifully written. I love I love the way she's organized the content. In the book, the way she's laid it out is written in very everyday kind of language. She's not trying to shroud it in mystery in any way. In fact, I'll show y'all the cover of the book. The Language of Lenormand by Erica Robinson. And I'm reading it because we are about in my pulp and paint community. Tomorrow we start an introduction to Lenormand. We are being led by V of Red Light Readings, and she's going to be teaching a 4-week series on Lenormand, and then I'll be doing a 5th intermediary sort of session in there about blending Lenormand with other divination systems and other esoteric systems in general. So I'm really digging this book. I just messed up my whole little situation here, but that's fine. I'm loving it so far because I think that she even gives you moments to stop, pause, and write. She goes through each card. It's and Lenormand is just a symbolic system, very basic, simple symbols like an anchor, a child, mice, a woman, a man, a stork, a book, a bouquet, a snake. Did I say snake? Mm-hmm. So, and you use it to, to get guidance on your day-to-day living. And the guidance, y'all, honestly, the guidance is coming from you, but the symbols help you isolate what's most important, right? Because we are so hyper stimulated, overstimulated by so many things in a given moment. Even the tarot, oracle cards, Lenormand cards, they help us sort of zoom in on the thing that our heart soul really wants us to see in that moment, right? And then we pull from our own inner wisdom around that thing. The shape of this is feeling odd to me. All right, the one piece I haven't moved is this one, so I'm going to move this one and see if maybe playing with that will give me something else. So Language of Lenormand is one that I'm reading. Another one that I'm currently reading, I've listened to it as an audiobook once already, all the way through, and now I'm going back to it and reading a little more closely. Is called, here, I'll just grab it. These books are right by me. So The Menopause Reset. I told y'all on day M, letter M day, we're going to be talking about menopause stuff. So this is by Dr. Mindy Pelz. Actually, it was Damon who came across her somehow, some way, in some other thing he was watching, and she was a guest on one of the podcasts or things that Damon listens to. And he was like, "Babe, I think you'll like her. Her energy, I feel like you'll really get her, and find her, helpful." And he could not have been further from the truth. It has been a really beautiful, reminder of what it means, what menopause really means, right? So I won't go into it today because we're on letter B, but when we get to letter M, I will be talking a little bit more about my journey and what this book is doing for me. She has another book called Fasting Like a Girl. I haven't read that one fully through yet. I read bits and pieces of it. But those two right there, The Language of Lenormand and The Menopause Reset, they are currently top of mind. And then my one other book that I'm working my way through, because we're going to be doing it as a book study together in PPP, is called The Inner Work of Age. And I have that one on my Kindle. I don't have the hard copy of that one, but that is by Susan. If you're still here, do you remember the name of the woman who wrote that? Connie? I don't know. I want her name to be Connie, but that might not be right. All right, I'm going to start over because I'm not liking any of that. Let's start with this big piece, and let's build around it. Let's see what we get. Now that's looking like a birthday cake. Already out of the gate, I don't want that. So let's see. Maybe so that it doesn't look like a birthday cake. We start with this in the center and build on it. So this is actually, it might seem tedious to some of you, it's actually when I'm doing it solo, by myself, no one else is around. It's actually a very meditative process for me to just play around with these shapes until I get to something that just feels right. It's not so much, I mean, it's, yeah, how it looks, but also there's a certain feeling, I think, that comes along with it. I also think that because these two are not the same size, I'm being thrown off. So let's find the specs. Cunny's Weg, thank you, Susan. Inner Work of Age. It is a beautiful read, and we're going to be doing that one in PPP together shortly. And yeah, it's a really good one. All right, let's see if those are a little closer in size. They don't have to be identical, but I think I would like them to be a little closer in size. I also am finding what's really interesting too is like the white space that shows up once the full thing is down. That is always interesting to me to note. Maybe this one doesn't require any angular pieces. I feel like this is it for some reason. Sit with that for a minute. And see how I feel about it. This almost feels like feet on this thing. I'm going to be honest. I think this piece is what's throwing me off altogether. So I'm just going to take that out. And I'm going to bring back some of my other pieces here. So whenever in terms of composition, for me, this is not any sort of art school rule or anything like this. I didn't go to art school, so I can't speak to what they would tell you is true, right, and accurate. But my eye likes to have, if I were going to have two of these, I would want them to be balanced somehow. But if I'm going to have one, then my eye gets drawn there. It's like one of these kids is not like the other, and it makes me go right to it. So I want to be strategic about where I place it if that's where I want the eye to go. So I wonder where I want to place that. So if left to my own devices, y'all, I would sit and do this for hours. Like, this actually is very soothing for me. And also, I think it just feeds we talked yesterday on day A about the whole ADD, ADHD, ADD thing. I think that just giving things that have symmetry sort of put me at ease, if that makes sense. It's the best way I can kind of describe it. They bring me a sense of ease when things are all lined up and nice and neat. I'm sure my husband can attest to that because in our house we have lots of straight lines, not a lot of things at an angle. So it just, I don't know, just feels right to me. I think this is the composition I'm going to go with. So with that, once I find the composition, the trick is always getting it, keeping that composition as I go through and try to glue down each piece. So with that said, I'm just kind of looking around right now on my table, trying to find something that can weigh this down. Hold this in place for right now. Just hold the page in place. Okay. And then the gluing begins. All right, so while I'm gluing, let's talk about glue. We're going to talk more about glue on G Day, but I know everybody loves Yoo-Hoo sticks, y'all. They're not really my favorites. I'm just going to keep it real. I use them. I own them. I'm trying to use them up. I probably won't ever buy another one again. Just adding a little more light. Sorry, y'all. I'm just adjusting, seeing how I can adjust the light at all for me. I don't know if that helped, but here we are. So yeah, Yoo-Hoo. I use it. Don't love them, but I know a lot of mixed media artists live and swear by them. I don't know if it's because I live in Florida and it's humid here and often warm, but I find that they are very soft, meaning they come off the stick really, just a lot. It's a lot of it. It's kind of odd. So I kind of start with the pieces that are on the outer edge, the edges. And I usually start with like the outlier pieces that are kind of like the outliers. So yeah, glue sticks we'll talk more about. And no, I don't always get them back in the exact spot that I had them in, but I get them close. I get them close enough. Close enough. I'm also using a very light hand for everything at this point because nothing is really pressed down fully. Nothing, and you've got all these pieces that aren't quite, adhered. So I'm giving a really light touch when I stick those down all the way. And then I'm going to come back with a heavier hand once I get them all in. So like I said, they don't always end up in the exact same spot, but having on my glasses might help. But I do the best I can. Yeah, I can already tell that's not the exact same spot that was in. But I trust that it is in the right spot for now. So this fascination I have with black and white as an art, I won't say concept, but let's see, how do I want to do this? That looks good. Has been a long time coming. I think it got really sort of emphasized for me when I was working with letterpress back in 2008, 2009. Do I have letterpress for letter L? Let me check. I don't. I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it to my L's. I'll talk more about letterpress on L day. Because letterpress, there was a point in my life where I thought I was going to actually open and start a letterpress studio. Hey, I already got some glue, some double-sided tape on that one. I will take it. So yeah, I thought I was going to I was going to be the owner and operator of a letterpress studio. That was in my big plans at one point for my creative life. But I'll talk about it more on day L and tell you why that did not happen and why bookbinding became my beloved creative outlet. I'm digging that. I think I like it. I like that little composition. It's not perfect, but it's not meant to be perfect. Now I'll come through and I feel like when I get a book of these completed, it's going to be pretty cool to flip through them. And I'm probably going to maybe write one word underneath each one. But I feel like I need to have the book completed before I decide on that. So, okay. I really love this little book. I love the way it feels. It's really good and sturdy, this back-to-back journal. All right, why don't we make another one of these? Wow. That'll help me finish another project. I have so many of these things. Let's see, I'm looking at time. Do we have time for that? I don't want to stay too long tonight. I'll get you started on it, and then you all can finish your own later. So bookbinding. What can I say about it? I was the kid who, like many of you, I imagine. Ooh, I think I'm going to use, I think I might use black paper for this one. So I was the kid who wrote notes in school, folded them origami style, always was looking for neat ways to like fold things. I was making accordion books before I knew what accordion books were, right? I would just take a strip of paper that I had and just start folding it, right? And it ends up being an accordion book, right? So I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't have that terminology at all. But I was doing it just, oh, look, more boards that are already covered. I have a stack of them, y'all. This is not even, oh, here's another one that's already covered. And another. How did those get in that stack? So I have, here, I'm going to pull down the whole stack and let y'all see the whole stack of these that I have. Try not to gasp, okay? If you're drinking water or tea, put it down so you don't spit it out. Just get ready. Brace yourself for how many of these I have. Dun, dun, dun. I probably need to put together some kits and send some out to people. This is going to take me forever. But yeah, I've got a bunch of them. So I either need to, now here's the other thing that I could use these for, right? I could use these for, like if I were going to print out some sort of art piece or something that I did, I could use them to make collages on. They can be, there we go with that again. Okay. I could use them for, because they kind of are photo mats, right? That's really what they're for, art mats. You put them in little plastic sleeves, but we use them in soul collage. A lot of people have the hard backs on their soul collage cards. And I just decided, so these, all the ones that look like they've never been touched and never been used, these are all ones that I would use at workshops or things like that. So, you know, I do still, this isn't, like I said, this isn't all of them because I do have a stash for when I do workshops, but this was like from my personal stash. Okay, so there's quite a few of them. I might be working through that pile into perpetuity. But I think not. I think I am going to, I might send some out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I do with them. But anyway, I thought I'd share with you that because that is one of my projects. So for now, I'm going to take two that already have boards covered and put this whole stack back where it was sitting. And I'm going to use black paper for this. Just grab some black paper. Might be neat to do a black and white, since I'm talking about letter B black and white stuff today. It might be neat to do a black and white alternating. Huh. Now I'm going like, is this really conducive to the black and white? We're going to make it work. I'm not going to overthink it. Yeah, let's just do that. All right, so I'm going to tear some paper out while I talk bookbinding. So I was the kid who did the notes, passing the notes, blah, 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 in school. And I folded everything into paper. Like I folded all papers into things. Like I didn't even know what bookbinding was. Fast forward to, I don't even remember, but it was being a teacher. And it actually was when I was a teacher's assistant, getting my degree in education. You have to do your little apprenticeship. And my teacher was very creative. My person who was like my supervising teacher, she was very creative. She always, we were changing out the bulletin boards like on a everyday basis, like for every little thing. It's a Thursday, let's change the board. But she had lots of creative ideas, and so she would have me doing all little paper folding projects, all sorts of stuff, right? And I loved it. I actually loved that more than I actually loved the teaching part. That probably should have been a sign at that point, but I didn't take it as a sign. So fast forward 10 years later, maybe more. Let's see, that would have been 1994, 95, 96, somewhere in there. 2006. So yeah, about 12 years later, I end up at, is that right, Damon? Am I doing that math right? 12 years later, ended up at Mills College in classes with Julie Chen and Kathleen Walkup. And Kathleen was our letterpress guru. And Julie, who also works with the letterpress, was our bookbinding guru. She, I think I've mentioned her before. I think I mentioned her yesterday. She's like a bookbinding savant, really. She's amazing. I just want to see how many of these I can get out of, depending on how I turn this paper. I'm not paying attention to the grain. Don't judge me. Ooh, I can't get, no matter which way I go. Well, yeah, I can only get one. That's sad because that feels like a waste of paper to me. Even though, you know, I'll find something else to do with the paper. So yeah, Julie Chen and Kathleen Walkup. So I started taking bookbinding classes at Mills College. And I'm going to move these 3 cards out of the way so I have a little more space here. I feel kind of crowded. There we go. Okay. And during that time, I learned so many different book structures. We had so many projects. I pretty much lived in that studio. Damon would message me and just be like, should I come up there and get you? Is everything okay? Are you coming home? It was quite hilarious, actually. All right, I'm going to put a little piece of paper right here on the line that I need to pay attention to. All right, so for this back-to-back book, if you want it to be hardcover, you need 2 pieces. You can use, this is, like I said, photo mat board, but you could also use the back of your paper pads, right? I like to take the back of my paper pads and save them because they're basically book board. Okay, so the back of your paper pads can be helpful in this moment. Don't throw those away. Also, don't beat yourself up for all the ones you've already thrown away. So you need a front and a back if you want it to be hardcover. You need a piece of fabric for your spine, and it needs to be about, I'm just going to say 2.5 to 3 inches wide, and it needs to be the height of your book covers. And then you need as much paper as you want to have in there. The more paper you have, the thicker it is, the chunkier. So if you like a fat, chunky book like me, then you can use a lot of paper. I am going to tear this paper down to size to size it for my book. It's the thing I love about a handmade journal. It's one of the things I learned in bookbinding that I really love. I've always been, I was the kid who everybody else was excited about going and shopping for first day of school, like for school clothes, new school clothes. I could care less about school clothes. I wanted to go shopping for pens and notebooks and staplers. I didn't care about, I'm like, I can just wear the same clothes I had last year. I wanted new notebooks, the 3 subject, the 5 subject, the black and white composition notebooks. And then as I got older, the markers and the fancier, the binders and the trapper keepers. I wanted that stuff. I didn't care about clothes as much as my counterparts did. All right, so let's see what we're working with here. How close am I? Oh, that's actually pretty darn good. How did I not measure that right? Okay, I think I did that right. Let's make sure. I'm going to try one. Oh, I might have to. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to need to shave off a little bit of this. Because otherwise I'm going to have a lot of overhang, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to make myself a little mark here. And do one more tear of these papers. So yeah, I was that kid. I wanted new school supplies. I didn't really care about clothes and all that other stuff. That just wasn't anything I cared about. I cared about my new notebooks and journals and pens and staplers and markers and crayons, color pencils. So when I learned that there was a whole tribe of people in the world called bookbinders making their own books, putting the kind of paper in it that they like. I was like, sign me up. Where do I go for that? And I haven't looked back since. So when I got this card over here just now that said back to basics, I'm like, yeah, back to basics. So pro tip, bookbinding folks, if you want all your pages to be the same size, stack them up together, get them all nice and lined up. Use that top one as your gauge, and then just keep your ruler down, and you get a really beautiful deckled edge this way. Trying to get a deckled edge one sheet at a time, yes, that can happen. Like put a sheet down, tear it, move it out of the way. Put another sheet down, tear it, move it out of the way. That process can work. I like this way because the further you get down in the stack, the more decal you get. You can kind of see how it's starting to. In fact, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna leave one sheet down. Move those out of the way. And keep tearing. So in those bookbinding classes, we learn traditional bookbinding, we learned contemporary bookbinding, and we learned experimental bookbinding. We learned letterpress. We learned printmaking. We learned about making things that were not books, like making broadsides. We learned about conservation, how to do book conservation. I mean, that's a whole other industry of the bookbinding world. People who take very old books, and sometimes not so old books, and restore them and do what's called conservation of them. That's a whole other world. And I did not enjoy it because they're working with things like acid and things where you could literally disintegrate an entire collection of books. And I just, that just felt a little too nerve-wracking for me. Like, oh God, I could mess up somebody's entire book collection. Oh, thank you. What did I do with my bone folder here? It's probably staring me right in the face, and I'm just not seeing it. Huh. Well, that's curious. Just get a... I don't think I really want to be using this one anyway, but it's okay. So I'm just going to make sure that this actually fits this book the way I want it to. And it will. Perfect. All right. So the concept of the back-to-back book. You're going to fold up all your pages. For this book, I like to definitely fold them individually. I know some people like to take a whole stack and fold them at once. For this book, I find that it is actually more... it makes the book function a little better if you do them individually. If you have really thick paper, and this is Canson. This is Canson black drawing paper. It's 92-pound paper. So it's not cardstock, but it's also not super thin like regular drawing paper. It does have some toothiness to it. I should probably be using my Teflon bone folder so that I don't get these marks on my black paper, but I'm just wanting to show you all. So a back-to-back journal, the idea is that you're putting the pages back to back. So if this is one signature, the back of this signature is going to go to the front of the next one. And the back of that one will go to the front of the next one. And you just keep putting them back to back until you have a stack of them. I like to start by folding all of mine first. So let's talk about business for a bit. How many of you out there are business owners? And let's talk categories here. So there is like the hobbyist who's like, I'm just doing this because it's fun. I love this. I don't want to make money from it. I'm not trying to make money. I don't want to monetize it. And then there is the professional hobbyist who's like, this isn't my 9-to-5 regular job. It's not my bread and butter, but I've spent all this time learning this, doing this, buying the supplies for this, and I want to make money from it. So it's kind of like a side hustle. I call those people professional hobbyists because they are doing it for fun, but they also sell their goods, or maybe go to festivals, or maybe they just sell them to family and friends or at their church. Fun drive type thing, right? Then you have the business owner, the creative who wants to make money from their art. And then I like to say there's also another category which I consider to be the teaching artist, which is what I am. I can definitely make journals. I can sit here and crank out, like for instance, this particular journal, I could probably crank out 10 of these in a day and maintain the quality. I could probably crank out 30, but I don't know that it would be, I don't know that all 30 would be quality. Let's say that. So just because you can do a lot of them doesn't mean you should do a lot of them. All right. Nice. This is going to be a nice stack. Oh, that's going to be lovely. Now, I like to cover my spine. You don't have to cover your spine. But I do like to cover my spine. So y'all give me 1 second. I'm going to grab some fabric to use for my spine. I'm going to take this so I can kind of match it up. But I think I'm going to go with something. I think I might go real simple, like a canvas colored beige. Just a strip of canvas is actually what I might go for. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to grab it. I'll be right back. All right, I think I mentioned during the Artsy Meetup last month that I shop in the remnants bin. I love the remnants bin. It's my best friend. It's my BFF in the fabric stores, the remnants bin, because you can get some really beautiful remnants. For really, really inexpensively, like super, super cheap. Okay, so what was I saying? Business owner. So teaching artist. So yes. So a teaching, so I could sit here and crank out 30 or so of these journals and sell them. But I actually get more joy because every time I make a book, at the end of it, I'm like, oh, I love this. I should keep this for myself. And I end up not sending the book out. All right, let's see if I'm going to like this as my spine piece here. Let's just pretend. Not loving it. Not loving it. I think I need it to just be plain and not have flowers on it. All right, let's see. Do I have anything that is nearby that I don't have to go searching for? Probably not. Hold on. Voila. That's what I'm looking for. Just a nice natural sort of calico. It's really thin, but it'll get the job done. Okay, so let's see if I can get myself back on track. Let's see. Linda said, I make books for me, but I sell other things like hand weaving and fine art. Love to work in a sketchbook I made myself. Yeah, same. Same. I love writing in a journal that has paper I chose and all the things. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a small piece of this out. I don't need a lot, just need it to be the right height. In terms of, I like to say about 3 inches, give or take. So about here. And yes, those of you who are right now cringing, going, are you using fabric scissors? I am not. I'm absolutely not. So I hope you're going to be okay. But I'm not using fabric scissors. I do have proper fabric scissors, but when I'm using it for bookbinding, in my mind, yeah, it's for paper. So, all right. So you have those different types of you have those categories. Now those are Kyla categories. That's just my categories. Okay. And this is just for the sort of art world. Like if you are doing, obviously there's also coaches and, you know, there's a whole bunch of things. So right now I'm speaking to the creatives in the room who are making money from their art or from their craft, whichever it might be for you. All right, I think I'm gonna like this way better. Yep, that's what I had in mind. That was what I was envisioning. It's just a nice sort of linen colored. Linen colored? Is linen a color? No, natural colored piece of fabric. Digging it. Okay, so let me tell you how the book is constructed. We'll do a few pages together. I won't do the whole thing because there's a lot of pages to do and sit here and ramble and talk with you. I'm going to use double-sided tape. I wish I had a good tape runner that actually had tape in it. I would use that right now. I think all of my tape runners, oddly enough, are don't have any tape in them. Like none of them. Did I speak too quickly? Let's see, does this one? Yeah, no. Oh, that's just nope. That will take me forever. Not fooling with that. Okay. I wish I had a wider tape for this, but all right, so you can use glue stick. for this. Glue stick for this, for me, is a little messy unless I'm using Fabri-Tac, Beacon 3-in-1, Fabri-Fix, one of those quick grab, quick dry glues. So if I were using that, that'd be a little easier, still kind of messy. But also those glues give you about a 5-second wiggle room. With double-sided tape, sometimes you get no wiggle room. If you make a mistake, if you lay it down in the wrong spot, you might have to just live with it when you're working with double-sided tape. So it takes a little more nuancing and patience. So, but let me just tell you where I'm going. Take that tape off. I'm going to lay this piece down on top of it. And my goal each time I lay it down is to line up the spine, the folded edges, to line them up as close to perfect as your human eyes can do, which is why working with a wet glue, like but quick drying, is actually really can be helpful, because it gives you time to like jog it down to the table and sort of slide and move and manipulate it. When you're doing it with double-sided tape, you don't get all of that grace. You kind of have to do it in one fell swoop. So there are a lot of bits and pieces to own a business. My best piece of advice that I can give to anyone: let it be easy. Build a business that fits your lifestyle, not the other way around, or that fits the lifestyle you want to live. I am a homebody. I love to be at home. I love traveling. But even when I travel, I'm ready to come home. Soon after I get where I'm going and I see all the things and I do all the things, I'm like, okay, time to go home now. I like sleeping in my own bed. I have created a life that I love. I don't actually need a vacation from my life, right? And because of that, I don't then want to turn around. I didn't want to turn around and build a business that took me away from that. So I'm not someone who's going to go sell my things at craft fairs and travel around doing like that. That would be like the opposite of what I'm wanting for myself. All right, so I just laid that down on top of there. I did the best I can with these human eyes to get it straight. And then I'm taking my bone folder and smooth that out. When you're working with black paper, pro tip, get yourself a Teflon bone folder, because then you won't get the, I don't know if you all can even see the marks, and this may just be from my bookbinding training that my eye is tuned to it. Can't really see them on the camera. Well, right there. See that? See these marks? See these marks? These are made with because I'm using a bone folder that is not Teflon. If I had a Teflon bone folder, it would not make these marks on black paper. So that's a little pro tip for you. So let it be easy. Start simply. And build a business that supports the lifestyle you want. Don't build a business that everybody tells you you should be doing this, and you should have that, and you should do this too, and this is how you're going to make money, and do these 12 things. If those 12 things move you further away from the life you actually want to live, then the business isn't actually serving you. I mean, maybe it's making you money, and that's great. Money is a resource. We need money in this current structure of the world we live in. But money is not an end-all be-all. I have seen many, many people work themselves to the bone, doing things they do not love, in ways that they do not love, that don't bring them joy, just to make money. And again, I'm not against money. We need money, to live. We need money to pay our bills. We need money to sustain, buy food, keep a roof over our heads, all the things. So I'm not saying money should not be a factor. You absolutely, if you're in business, you should be paying attention to whether or not you're making money and how you're making money. That's what being in business is. If you don't want to care about that stuff, then just remain a hobbyist. All right? There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's giving out badges for that. Like, do the thing that feels good and right for you. So build a business that lets you live the lifestyle you want. Not everybody needs or wants to have a 6 or 7 figure business. I hear a lot of that out in the world a lot. I can teach you how to have a 6-figure business of this, that, and the other. But not everybody wants that. I used to run a women's mastermind for business owners, for women creatives who are business owners. And one of the first things I would have them do with me in their one-on-one sessions with me is tell me what their need number is and what their want number. How much money do you need the business to make for you? Right? That could, for some people, be really different from the want number. Right? And I would give them a formula to use for the need number, certain things they needed to factor in terms of just the basic operations of a business. So a lot of things people don't consider. Like if you're shipping things out to people, you need to be factoring in shipping costs. Right? Like factoring in what it requires to maintain a business license from year to year. I mean, there are a lot of little things in there that people don't consider. They just think, oh yeah, PayPal is going to handle all my stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I would give them a little formula to use to figure out how much it was going to cost them to run their business, how much money they needed that business to make for them. Some women were in the group, were doing it because they wanted to have additional money to help put their kids through college. Their kids were getting at that age where they were going to be graduating high school, and the one income family, maybe their husband's income had been able to support them. But now that they were going to have a kid going off to school and 3 still in high school, one going off to college, 3 still in high school, the bills were racking up before the child even graduated. Like they were already feeling the weight of that. And so for them, they were starting a business because they wanted to help their kid get through college. And so they didn't necessarily need to be making $100,000 a year. They didn't need to have to put themselves through what it maybe takes to make $100,000 a year in your art business. And so we would get really clear on that. So get clear on what your need number is and what your want number is. Those two numbers might be different. Those of you who are here, but you cannot chat with me because you just subscribed to my channel recently, please come back tomorrow. You can absolutely chat with me once you have subscribed to the channel. But I'm happy going forward over the next few days. As I show up each day, I'm happy to answer questions about being a business owner. I have had a lot of ups and downs as a business owner. I have owned multiple businesses. And each one successful in its own right. And then I will say that I had one that I think was maybe not so successful, and I had to recalibrate and reorient. And I say that because not all businesses are going to succeed or do. Let me say it this way. They're not all going to do for you what you think they're going to do for you. Sometimes you get into it and you're like, oh, this is what's required to maintain this? No, thank you. And that was true for us when we got a brick and mortar. We had a studio, a brick and mortar studio, and I had this grand idea about what that was going to look like. And I'm going to start doing some from the bottom now, just so I can kind of even that out a bit. And it turned out not to look anything like what I thought it was going to look like. There were some beautiful moments for sure. I learned a lot. I made some mistakes. And I did some things really, really well. And I also now have eliminated that as a possible thing that I want to do. I used to think I wanted to own a restaurant. I used to think that I wanted to own like a yoga studio, which is kind of what we did. We had a yoga studio. It was yoga, meditation, and then art on the days when we weren't doing that. And yeah, what I learned is that place-bound lifestyle is actually not for me. Not in that way. Not in the way where I'm renting a building from someone and my home is somewhere else. I would get to the studio and I would inevitably be like, I left the paints that I wanted to use today at home. I thought they were here at the studio. Then I would get home and be like, oh yeah, the journal I'm looking for. Oh man, it's back at the studio. I meant to, right? And it was just, and then I started going, okay, I need 2 of everything. One that I keep at the house. And that is when I realized this is ridiculous. We're not doing that. It's just no. That's utter ridiculousness. I'm not doing it. And so I had to recalibrate and reevaluate what my lifestyle was really looking like. And if it was really the lifestyle I wanted. Because I was looking at all these other artists who had their own studio space and were working and that. And man, it looked fantabulous. And then I did it. And it wasn't fantabulous. Don't get me wrong. We did some really beautiful and amazing things in that studio space. We absolutely did. Changed a few lives. Made a bunch of people happy. It was pretty great. But it wasn't right for us. So we let it go. And we let it go right before 2020 happened, which was like a gift from the universe, I say. All right, I'm going to do one more of these, show y'all this, and then we'll talk about some, we'll keep talking business for a moment, but then I'll be working on something else while we're doing that. Show you some black and white decks. Just a few, just a couple. And then we'll start to wrap it up because I've been here almost an hour and a half. I said I was going to try to keep these down to shorter than 2 hours. I think I went a little over 2 hours yesterday, maybe a little under 2 hours. I think my goal some days is going to be 1 hour from start to finish. Woo-hoo. We'll see if I can make that happen. All right, so you keep stacking these pages up back to back. Until you have a nice, what we call a book block. That's where you have signatures. And these essentially are signatures. They're just 1-page signatures, right? The reason I like this structure too is because you can take really thin paper, and because you're putting them back to back, it ends up being really sturdy. So I really love that about it. It's really good. And you get these uninterrupted page spreads. I'm happy I did black. I have some beautiful paint pens and some shimmer pens and some beautiful shimmer inks, shimmer watercolors that work really beautiful on black. So I think this is going to be a lovely book. So once I get all my pages stacked, I am going to take the back cover. I'm going to lay down my piece of fabric. You don't need to lay it all the way in. You're going to just, I would say about 1 inch in, give or take. I'm not gonna measure mine. Just let's keep it real. I'm just not. And if it bothers you that it's not fully straight, then you can edge that up so that it is. I'm just moving it around to see how I want to fold it. Yep, I want it to be there. So this is the back of my journal. I'm going to lay my fabric down with glue, obviously. Glue, glue, glue. Lay the fabric down. Bring the entire book block once all the pages are back to back and adhered together. Bring those and lay them down, lining up. Ideally, you're going to line it up to the spine edge of the book. So the book block will be flush with the edge of the book. If you want a ribbon, you'll put your ribbon in the same time you put your fabric in. So put your fabric in, put your ribbon in, lay the book down, make sure it's flush with the spine edge of the book and the board. Got your fabric, you've got your ribbon hanging out this way. You're going to put glue. I like to put glue on if the board is bigger than the paper, I put it on the board, on the paper. Put it on the smaller substrate. So I can tell that this paper is a little bit, there's going to be a little tiny bit of overhang here. So I'm going to put it on my book, on my cover. So I'll put my glue on my cover. And for this, I would use glue and not double-sided tape. I'm going to take that. I'm going to make sure it's flush with my, excuse me, that is flush with my, the edge, spine edge here. I have my ribbon coming out this side. And once I have that glued down, if you're using quick grab, quick dry glue, then you don't need to do anything except open up that inside flap. So it'll be stuck together. You'll open that up and you'll smooth that in, smooth that down. You'll do the same for the back, and then your book will be done. You could also jog it to the foredge if you wanted to. Pick one and do it for both sides. So either jog it to the front if you don't want the overhang and you'll just see more of your fabric, or jog it to the bottom or to the spine edge and you'll have overhang. So it just depends on which one. I think for this one, now that I look at it, I'm probably going to jog it to the foredge and have more of my fabric showing. And then your book will be done and you will essentially have this lovely thing. And I will show one quick thing about this book. So it's the same book structure. I use fabric as my closure instead of sari ribbon or sari silk or ribbon. You can use whatever you want, or you don't have to have a closure at all. I just love, to me, a book isn't done unless it has a closure, especially a journal. So you can see I just glued that right in there. My fabric is glued in there. And one thing I do when I use glue, here's another little pro tip, is I will take, where are they? I literally just had them yesterday or the day before, recently. So let's say I've got my glue and I'm working pretty quickly, got my glue, everything's there. To keep these edges, I will take bulldog clips and just use them as my, instead of putting it under weight, I'll just use those to grip here and just leave them until that glue is completely dry. And then once I do that, I don't have to worry about any lifting here. You also want to make sure you don't put spine on your glue. You don't put glue on your spine. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we know it's time to wrap it up. Don't put glue on your spine and leave a little, see how you can see a separation there? You can kind of see down, like I could literally, let's see if I can. I could, this part is too big, but I could slide a piece down there. Not that piece because it's too big, but if I had a skinnier piece, like I could drop something down there, it's hollow. Okay, so you don't want to glue your, see, oh, there it is. See, I can see straight through that. No glue on the spine. No glue on the spine. If you do that, then the book won't be able to open flat. Right? You want the book to be able to lay somewhat flat. And if you glue that spine, you will restrict the book from being able to do that. All right, questions for me around this back-to-back journal. One of my absolute favorites because it's really easy to do. I'm going to finish that one off tonight. Let me grab a few black and white decks to show y'all what I'm talking about. 1, 2. We didn't get to talk about bags much. All right, I have several more, but I feel like this will give you a good idea. So I showed you my prototype for the Stitcher's Wisdom Oracle deck. And that is a black and white. Here's another prototype that I'm working on. This is my Everyday Affirmations for Everyday Magic deck. Not quite done yet, but getting there. And again, it's just a black and white deck. I'm going to finish this one up, I think, this month, though. It's so close to being done. Affirmations for Everyday Magic. I love it. Here's the Hollow Valley deck of symbols. I love this deck so much. Beautiful black and white deck. Sweet little images. It's just symbols. I love the gold gilding on the sides. Really beautiful. So if you're doing symbol work, working with symbols, this is a really great one. And they do have in here a little small, just a little pamphlet style guidebook for each one and what it means. So like little keywords for you to use. That's the Hollow Valley deck of symbols. The Black Violet Tarot is another that I love. Love the imagery on this. I just adore it. Love that silver gilding. Okay, let me rephrase. I love that silver gilding until it gets all over my hands. And then I'm just like, glitter, no! But it's pretty to look at. So yeah, just a really beautiful sort of, gives me Wednesday Addams vibes. If you all know that. Dun, 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 dun. 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 They're creepy and they're spooky, mysterious and kooky. Did anybody else watch that as a kid? I watched that as a kid and as an adult. Let's keep it real. So the images are just, I just think so clean and simple and just really beautiful. And of course, this beautiful chariot card. So yeah, I like this deck a lot. I feel like people think you need lots of color and all these things to have a really good storytelling deck. For me, you don't. Like, this deck is a great storytelling deck. So the Black Violet Tarot. Really yummy. Bianco Nero Tarot. I love this. I actually use their images that they have for a lot of my, every year I do a page spread in my journal that is about my card of the year Some of you have been in my Archetypes of the Year free workshop that I do every year. And when I get my archetype for the year, I usually go to these images as the one. I'll make a copy of it and put it in my journal. I don't color it. I think I have in the past, but this is another really nice black and white deck. It's Rider-Waite Smith inspired, but it is not. I love this, one of my favorite magician cards. It's something about this stinking beard of his. I just love it. I don't know why. No, Damon, I don't want you to do your beard like this. Not at all. But I love, this is one of my favorite Chariot cards, one of my favorite Hermits. Again, this something about this shape right here does it for me. Just love it. It's a great strength card. Oh, I didn't put this in our strength card deck. Huh. All right, I have to do that one. So I just love it. The imagery is beautiful. The shading and the artistry of it. Like, this is one of my favorite Temperance cards. Just really beautiful. I think it's just a lovely deck. Even the Tower card feels like super beautiful, right? So it's a really, really great deck. I like it a lot. Again, beautiful storytelling. I don't miss the color at all. And then I'll show one more, which is a little bit of a departure from just black and white, but this is the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Weisner. Love it. And I chose this one because it has a very neutral palette. So it's not just black and white. I mean, it's not black and white at all, really. Except for these three cards have some black and white in them. But they are, it's such a muted, it's like black and tan with hints of white. And so I really love that about it. And it's just symbology. No, not a lot of people. There's a couple of people in it, I think, but not a lot of people. Love this as the Hierophant card. So just a really beautiful, look at that Chariot. Come on. Anybody who knows me, that Chariot card is gorgeousness. Love the Strength card. I think that Strength card is in the, I think it's in our Strength deck that we are using. There it is. Loveliness. So yeah, those are some neutral palette type cards. I'm noticing I'm never going to get to talk about all the things that I say I want to talk about unless I really rein myself in, which, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? But that's a very Chariot thing to say, also, reining in. All right, Transient Light Tarot by Ari Weisner, Bianco Nero by Marco Proieto, Black Violet Tarot by Heidi Phelps, and the Hollow Valley Deck of Symbols by Erin Elise. All right, so there are some for you to play with. And then the forthcoming, soon to be released, Affirmations for Everyday Magic by Kiala Givehand. That's a drum roll. All right, friends. I talked a little bit about bookbinding. Not a lot, but I think you're going to get a lot of bookbinding talk from me this month as we go through. You all didn't have any questions for me about business ownership, but I will just say I'll talk a little bit each day about maybe some aspect, especially if you all come and ask questions. But I think there's a lot that I could say about it. I think your questions would be more helpful for me to kind of guide where to take that, because I could talk about anything from building an email list to having an online shop to working with tangible products versus teaching and platforms to use for teaching, and because I've used them all. All the things. Social media, we could talk about branding. That's another B. all sorts of things. So you all come back with questions if you have them, and I'm happy to answer them. Didn't really talk about or show the Bargello stuff. I'm looking around to see if I have it. Oh, I have it handy. Hold on. I'll grab it and show. And I'm still learning Bargello, so please do not take anything I say as word is bond. Here's some plastic canvas that I have for it. One of my community members and one of our tried and true sacred makers, Bonnie Natco. Bonnie taught me at the lake about Bargello when she was there. And she gave me a bunch of Bargello stuff. She gave me some of this flexible canvas, which I like better than the plastic canvas. She gave me a tapestry needle, which I had plenty of, but she gave me one anyway. She gave me lots of Elizabeth Bradley tapestry yarn. All of my folks across the pond, y'all are probably familiar with Elizabeth Bradley. So Bonnie had picked out some colors that she thought were inspired her, and she gifted me those. I feel like she gave me a couple other things of tapestry wool, but those for sure. And then she came into a coaching group that I have that she was a part of and taught everybody about how she is using Bargello as a tracking tool. And I had this piece left over, so I started tracking and got this. It looks very Wonder Woman, doesn't it? Depending on the way you look at it. But this is a sampling of what Bargello looks like. Don't look at the back. I think I did a pretty good job on the back, but it's not perfect. But so then I could, of course, y'all know my mind went to, oh, this is, once I got it all done, this is going to be a book cover. Of course, like what else is this besides a book cover? So I'm probably going to play a little bit with that idea of turning these into book covers once I get a little more into the Bargello. But then I went to my local Joann's and they had all of this tapestry wool DMC makes. And I did not know DMC made tapestry wool. I was like, what? I mean, it literally says on here, tapestry wool. Like, look at that. You probably can't see it. Tapestry wool. Okay. So and it was super cheap. It was like on sale for 39 cents or something a piece. And so I grabbed a bunch of colors because I have a project in mind that uses these. Again, I told you I like earthy tones, kind of muted colors. So again, another project that I just need to complete. So I have a feeling my 100 days of completing projects is absolutely going to span beyond the 100-day project, 100 days. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So Bargello is a yarn craft. It is not counted cross stitch, but you do count. It has repeating patterns, which again, I love, just like folding paper, just like doing those black and white cutout collages that I showed you. Anything that works with symmetry in that way, where you're going 6 up, 7 over, 6 up, 7 over, like where you're doing the same sort of repetitive thing. I love that a lot. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bargello. There is a woman out there who I think has really kind of, I'm going to just say, cornered the market right now on modernizing Bargello. I can't remember her name, but her company is called Hello Bargello. Hello, Hello, Bargello, Bargello. Look her up. She sells kits. She has, I think, some sort of monthly subscription box type thing. I haven't bought anything from her. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just telling you that this is where I think you might go if you want to learn more about it. Hello Bargello. Okay. And that, my friends, is most of what I said I was going to talk about today for letter B. Tomorrow, letter C. Here are some of the things on my list, just to give you a sneak peek. I'm going to definitely be talking about collage, soul collage, and I'm going to show you a fabric collage project that I'm working on. I'm going to talk about canvas journals and creative writing and creativity in general. I probably will talk a little bit about coaching, and my work as a coach that I've done over the years. Let me get my glasses because, well, the eyes are saying you can't see those tiny words. Probably talk a little bit about, yeah, some Capricorn-y things. I'm a double Capricorn, so I'll probably mention some of that. And maybe even talk about some chanting. My husband, Damon, who's here in the chat, does Vedic chanting, teaches Yoga Sutra chanting. And yeah, so we are a chanting household. And I might talk a little bit about that and what it kind of does for me on a bringing my nervous system into balance kind of thing. So I hope to meet you back here if you can make it. And if you can't, please watch the replay if you feel so compelled. Otherwise, thank you for being here for day number 2 of 30, letter B of the ABCs of me. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you to those who hung out with me for the whole time, to those who came in midway or just now. Thank you. I hope to catch you tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm going to go live at the same time. I've already scheduled it. I don't know from y'all's side of the table if you can see the schedule and where I've scheduled these things. I don't really know how it works from y'all's side. But I imagine there is some special way for you as subscribers to see and maybe even be notified of when I have scheduled these sessions. So tomorrow, just looking at my calendar, tomorrow, 5 o'clock Central. See you back here. Thank you so much for watching, for being here live. For those of you who are live and those watching the replay, drop me a comment below if you have a question. There were some questions that were sent to me privately in email yesterday. I did not get to them today, but I think what I'll do is maybe let the questions pile up to maybe like the Friday of each week, and then I'll just spend Friday on the very beginning of Friday's call answering questions that have come in. Okay. Love y'all. Have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow if you can make it. Bye.